Hey guys, this is my 99 Plymouth Neon. Just now turned over 108,000 miles. Runs great, but when I bought it, every speaker in every part of the vehicle, and we got 4 speakers, were shot. I don't know what it is with Dodge and speakers, but they just don't last. So I went and bought some generic speakers, and I put a set over here. I'm going to show you how it's done and how easy it is, and there are some minor complications. I've worked around them, and I hope this video will help you if you have a Dodge Neon and you want to go ahead and put some aftermarket speakers in it. Okay, now like I just said, I've replaced the speaker on this side. I'm going to pull this panel off and give you a look how it actually looks after it's all installed and everything, and how I did it. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and show you some tools we'll need. And we don't need anything too exotic, and some of these things are optional. Probably a magnet there in case you drop your drill bit or something down the door. And we have to take the door panel off, which is pretty easy. We'll need a little T25. Now I have another video on here how to take this panel off if you're in a hurry and you don't want to watch my video and all that stuff. And Phillips screwdriver, a pair of pinchers, a needle nose, and some clippers. And there's my drill bit and my drill, and I've got a drill bit on there, and I think this is probably 1/8 of an inch, nothing too exotic. And I had some electrical tape. I'm out of it, but this here will work just fine for taping the wires together. Actually, I find duct tape works even better than electrical tape for some reason, and we'll talk about that later. And of course, my little hook here to get the old door handle off, the old door handle trick. And let's see, of course you'll need a set of speakers, and here they are. I picked these up fairly reasonable. I got them for like 20 bucks, free shipping. And you will need a set of these. You can get these online. They are speaker adapter rings. I picked up 2 of them for 8 bucks, free shipping, and we'll need those. And we'll have to kind of clip these little center pieces out right here. We'll talk about that here shortly. But we have to do a little bit of modification. And since I have one speaker in the door already, here is the other one. And I might as well just tell you the brand name, since they're not paying me to do this. This is something called Boss. And I've got one speaker in already, and I've used these before, and they actually sound pretty good. Now, this is not for something that you want to put 500 watts in. I'm just using a stock radio. I may change it out later. I have a aftermarket radio I can put in. It has a auxiliary plug and a USB charger for my phone, because I stream all my music anyway. So, other than that, this is really about all we need. Now, when you buy the speakers, they usually give you some little screws and some little clips, and they give you a set of wires, which is kind of nice. And I think it's about it. And I believe in this box, there's, here it is, there's this template you can actually make. If you actually get speakers that will fit your door, here's a template that they give you. You can cut it, trace it, whatever, but I didn't even need this, didn't even have to use it. So, having said that, let's go ahead and try to get started here. Okay, so I'm going to set the camera down here, and you can just kind of watch me take this door out in real time. It's pretty easy to do. Like I said, if you want to go in farther depth and actually how to take this door panel off, I have another video to do it, so let me go ahead and do this. Of course, I got my little wire right here behind this handle. Put the wire behind the old hook and just go like that, and boom, off comes that. That's my little trick. So it's pretty easy to take off. We'll put all this inside. Now I got to take my T25, and I got a screw right here behind the door handle. We'll take out. And remember, like I said, I'm just doing this to show you my speaker. The final result on this side. Alright, take this out, and you can see it's a star bit. And we have one more screw we got to take out, and it's right here. It's a Phillips screw, which is right here, sitting down in there. Take this out. Easy as pie. There's that. Now we simply go ahead and pull the panel off, and I've got me a flat screwdriver just to kind of help out in the back here. Usually they pull off pretty easy. they have the little plastic clips, and you have to take your time at it. Now we'll pull this up like this. Now I've got to get my hand behind her. There's a little clip I've got to release. And off comes the door panel. And here is the clip. The rod that you have to be very careful about. And on this door, right here, this little guy, do not break it. If you break it, you're going to be crying because you're not going to be able to get your door open. So, having said that, let's look at our speaker. There is the final product. It's in. It's nice and secure. The only downside is on this speaker, the reason you have to use these retaining rings is because this hole is pretty big in the door. The factory speaker that sits here is about 7 inches. So the only speaker I could find that would work for me is a 6.5, and you have to use these little 6.5-inch adapter rings. And the original speaker sat on something like this. It's a big plate. So I am going to show you how I did this side just with this ring, but I really feel that I probably should go ahead and put this adapter plate back on and go ahead and bring the speaker out just a little bit more, because if you look at this door panel, there's a big foam ring here. That ring has to go all the way up to the speaker to make it actually sound pretty good if you want bass and all that. That's just my theory on it. That's how I'm going to do it. Now, let me set the camera back up here. You can see this is the ring, how thick it is. Here is the new speaker that we're going to stick in it, and you see it's not very thick. Even if I put this retaining ring, this adapter plate on the back, it's really not that thick. It's not going to stick out like I really want. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this adapter plate on the back of that, and I'll show you how to do it. Now, you can leave it this way if you want, but the problem is the speaker sticks in there pretty far, and you got to roll your window up and down. And if you get a speaker that has the back of the cone that sticks out a lot farther, it's going to hit that window when it goes up and down. So you got to be very careful. The idea is, from the factory, they have these speakers setting out about 1 inch from the door. So you just kind of got to go in and kind of experiment and play around and see what works best for you. And like I said, there that is. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out real quick and put the ring behind it. This factory ring here, I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there, and I'll show you how I adapted that to make it work on the back of this onto the door. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but I know that was a lot of info, but I want to make sure that I got it all down for you so you can do this job right. Okay, now let's take the speaker out and show you what I did. Okay, now before we take that out, I wanted to show you, here is the original ring that's in the door, and here's the original speaker. They basically sit on here like this, and you can see when that speaker goes on there, that's about 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches thick, so that's what we're going to accomplish. We want that speaker in there like it was when it was from the factory, sticking out a little bit. So when you take the door panel off and get into the speaker and all that, just take the speaker off of this, and there'll be some ears sticking up here. Just clip those off, and the whole idea is we want this here to be flush with the outside of this ring. So I take a file and I file this down all the way around like that. Of course, if you have a little grinder, you can use that, or a little sandpaper or whatever, and you can see it's nice and smooth there, and the thickness there is the same all the way around. The reason is because when we get our ring and our other speaker and stick on here, we want this to be flush against this ring, because if you don't do that to these 3 points here, they stick up just a little bit, and your speaker will be setting up a little higher on this ring, and you don't want that. You want that speaker flush in there. Alright, we'll go ahead and pop this speaker out real quick, and like I said, I have it on. I have the speaker bolted onto this adapter and straight to the frame of the door. That's not really how I wanted it. I thought about this, and this is how I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. Take those screws out. We've got one down here in the bottom. Take this out, and we'll pull the speaker out, and you can see it's kind of set up in there like that. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these wires. Make sure you know which is hot and positive, negative on these speakers, because when you go to tie it into this here later, you'll know which one. On this one I already know which is hot and which is negative, and this is, I'm going to get rid of all this here, so this is just temporarily. So let me go ahead and pull these wires off. Okay, here's the speaker in a nutshell. Here's how I'll set it up. I bolted a ring onto the speaker. I used the little clips they gave me there to kind of hold the speaker on the ring, and there's 4 of them. And I made sure when this adapter plate goes up, the long ear that you see here goes up, I made sure I started the speaker like that so you could read it across like it really matters, because nobody can see it. Then I had to, since I had the bolts here, the little screws sticking out a little bit, I had to go here and mark this door and just kind of drill a couple of holes so these bolts will slide through. And that way when you put this speaker on the door, you'll have a little wiggle room to adjust it and put your screws back in. Now, since I have this plate ready to go, really all I need to do is find my ear that's up in the air, the big one here sticking up, and the same one on this one, and just go ahead and stick this on here like this, and then I can just simply bolt all this back on the door, and you can see it's nice and flush around there. Now the only downside is, you see where these little screws are sticking down? Take your drill bit, mark where these screws are going down in there. I think you can see that right there where my thumb is. On this plastic ring, go ahead and take a drill and just drill a couple of holes so those screws will go through that, because if you notice closely there, they almost go through there, but not quite. The idea is you want this speaker and ring nice and flush with this. So let me get my drill. Now I've already made a few marks here where I know I need to put the holes in this ring, and then we'll stick it on the door. Give you a good idea how I did it here. All right, now I've got all my holes kind of drilled there. Like I said, that screw only sticks in there just like a 1/16 of an inch, but it's hard to get that stuff started to screw into this, so I figured it would be better just to drill a hole. And I'll grab the speaker, and you can see this how I had it sitting in there before. And there's the ear that goes up, the big long one, and I'll find it on this speaker, and I'll set this on here like this. And everything now is setting in here nice and flush, just like I want it. And if I spin the speaker around, you see there are no gaps. Then all we have to do here is simply bolt this to the door, and we are done. And also the beauty here is, all you have to do is go ahead, like I said, bolt it to the door like this, and you're done. And that's what we're going to do. Now you see how far this sticks out? That will allow that foam to kind of seal this up a little bit. And also we'll talk about, if you have a speaker that goes in your door, we'll put some plastic behind here to protect it from the rain and all that, because there's a lot of rain that comes down these doors. And that's what ruined the factory speakers. So this is going to work out pretty good, and that's how that's going to go. So now what we're going to do is we'll go to the other side, and we'll go ahead and do that entire speaker from start to finish. Okay, now we are on the passenger side, and the door panel is off, and there it is. And you know how to do all this because you are a smart cookie. Now here is my speaker, and this is the original speaker that has been in the door forever. And let me get the camera set up a little bit. We'll take it out, and you can see how it's set up real quick here. Well, and the reason these speakers failed is because there was no plastic protective behind the speaker. Water got behind there and ruined them. Oop, there it is. And you can see there, look at all that rust and all that. So it's, like I said, this one here, nothing works. And you can see how it's set up from the factory. How the ring here is on the back of the speaker and all that. And also right here, you saw me file and grind this off. You can see how this originally was. I just take some snips and just snip all this off and file it down. Like I said, you want it nice and smooth. So go ahead and pull this off of here, and you just basically pull these clips back like this, and the speaker will come out like that. Same with this one, like that. And just pull it out. And like I said, if you start breaking these little clips, don't worry about it because you're going to file all this down anyway. And say goodbye speaker and hello aftermarket. And now we'll go ahead and start cutting some of these pieces off here like this. Get that one off. Get this one off. You might be able to buy retaining rings, adapter rings, but I doubt you'll get the ones that you really need because these from the factory were designed pretty thick. But you could try it, you never know. And now you can simply just file this down a little bit here, or just take a grinder to it. And to speed things up, I'm going to go ahead and use a grinder. Okay, now you can see I got it smoothed down really good. And now take your adapter ring and kind of set on it. You know, get some idea, like this, how it looks. And just kind of look at it, make sure it's nice and smooth. And it looks pretty good, it should work. And now what we got to do is take the adapter ring that I told you that you can buy for like $8. And we got to go in here and cut these little pieces out in the center right here. You can use snips or maybe a little fine metal saw. We got to cut all these out because the new speaker will not really fit down in there very well. It's kind of well, some of these you can, some you can't. The other one on the other side I cut out to get that speaker to fit down in there, but yeah, no, I have to cut this one out too because it's hitting the side, it's hitting the bottom of the speaker right there. So yeah, we'll go ahead and just snip those out. And these are designed for that because if you look closely to these adapter rings, if you have a smaller speaker, you can bolt it here, here, here. Of course, the 6.5 speakers are out here in these farther holes on the outside. So I won't bore you with this. I'll go ahead and cut all these out here real quick. And that is my last one, and you can see they're all out. And now we can take our speaker, our new speaker, and kind of set it in there. And remember, you want the big part of the ring here to go up like that. And if your speaker has a lettering on it, if you want it a certain way, go ahead and set it in here like this. And you can see it's nice and flush. Should work out pretty good. So now what we got to do is go ahead and take our top piece, which is this guy here that covers it up, and I'll go ahead and set this on here kind of like this, and kind of get the holes aligned here and all that where I want it. And that looks pretty good there. And I'll go ahead and start a screw on this side where my thumb is there, and I'll put one on the opposite side. So let me do that real quick. Okay, now I've got my little screws here in, and they're pretty sharp, and you can see they go into my plastic retaining ring, and there's the front of it. And I got one on that, I got one on that side, and I got one on that side right here. And for me, these were just thick enough to go into the plastic, kind of holding it loosely, but it's not very secure. So what they do, they give you a bunch of these guys here, and these are supposed to actually go down here on the door like this if you need them, if you get a big enough speaker. But of course I don't have a big enough speaker, so this is why I'm doing this. So I take one of these guys here and just open it up and break it in half, because when you open it up anyway it's going to break. And I use this here, stick on it like that. And if I grab my screwdriver here, and I think you can still see that, I'll just put my Phillips screw there, and this is what will hold this together. I'll go ahead and tighten this down real quick. There we go. I think you can see that there. And we do all four of them like that. And kind of tighten it down a little bit. And this is how I get the speaker to stay on this adapter ring. Now, like I said, if you have a different adapter ring, you might do it a different way, but this is just how I'm doing it, and this is how I've done it in the past. And it works out pretty good for me. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the other four of these guys here and kind of just open them up. And like I said, when you open them up, they break anyway. And go ahead and put them on the back of this. Okay, boys and girls, there we go. It's all in, and you can see all my clips are holding down the retaining ring or the space adapter on that speaker. And we really don't have too much more to do. And like I said, the big gear here goes up in the door, and the writing is in the right direction and all that. And like I said, you're not going to be able to see it. Now you can use nuts, bolts, whatever you want to use here. If you can find something short enough, just to barely go in there, you're still going to have to go in here and do just a little more modification, and that's next. So it looks like we're doing pretty good here. All right, let's move on to the next step. All right, as we kind of getting close to the end here, now all we got to do is take this big retaining ring from the factory that I was telling you about that we kind of cut down and made it smooth all the way around. We got to take the speaker. This part here goes up where my thumb is. This part goes up, and kind of line it up like that. Now, you got to remember we got those little screws that's sticking up in here like this. But if you look closely, this ring will not quite go down on there because those screws are sticking in the back of this. What you got to do is take a black magic marker and write on this black ring. Now you know why I failed college. I was using a black magic marker for a highlighter. Just kidding. Go ahead and make some marks here all the way around the ring, and we'll take our snips here. And where we make these marks, just simply take your little snips and go in here. There's a center ring. See this center piece here? That nut, the bolt, or the screw I should say, kind of hits that. So right where you made your mark right there, just kind of twist that out there, break it off. And this will allow that screw to actually go down in there, and it won't be a problem getting this back in there. So we'll go ahead and take this out. And now just simply check, and everything looks good, and I have a little wiggle room here to move it around. And now, something I've discovered that it might work for you if you have a little grinder or a file, instead of going ahead and drilling holes in here for these screws like I did on the other side to have a little room here. What I've discovered is if you take a file, you can actually file this down enough to actually make that screw bottom out in the bottom of this ring without drilling holes in it. And this will save you just a little bit of time. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do on this side. But if your bolts are really long or your screws are really long and they go past this ring and they hit this, you'll still have to drill a small hole here so that will pass through there. So this whole unit will go flush on the door. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do to save a little time tonight. And as you can see here, I've grinded it down just a little bit, and I've taken a file and check this out. Now you can see that's nice and flush there, and here is the back of the ring, and I'll simply just set this like this on here. And how about that, folks? It's nice and flush, and you will not have to drill any holes over here. Then all we have to do is put our screws in like this and wire it, and this baby is done. How about that? So now I'm going to go ahead and cut my wire here and wire it up and everything. Now I ordered some plugs for this, adapter plugs. I was smart and I thought it would work, and here they are. And from what I saw online, I thought they would fit, and you can buy these on eBay really cheap. I mean, they're great, but this does not work on this. And you can see the end here. You just simply hook it into your speaker. So that's why we're going to have to cut this clip off anyway. So these were supposed to be for 99 Neon, but they're not. I don't know if they're for a Jeep or something. They probably had the application messed up. So really, I was bummed out about that. I wanted to make it look, kind of nice, but this will still work out. Now I know which is hot and negative on this side, so we'll go ahead and cut this, and we'll use the wire that they gave me with the speaker kit. And here is the wiring kit they gave me, so I'm just simply going to go ahead and cut this about there. And I've already cut these wires and spliced them. I know I'm going to get some thumbs down because I'm using duct tape, but you know what? Like I said, it works sometimes better than electrical tape. And splice all this together. Now I know my green is hot, and make sure you know which is hot on your wire, especially on this guy here. And I know this fatter plug here is hot because it says on the speaker, and you just trace it and make sure you get this connected right, and we will be just about done. Okay, I got my wires all hooked up and everything. They look pretty good, and I'm going to use a piece of this here to kind of put it around the wire to protect it and make it look interesting, almost factory. So we'll go ahead and stick this on here. And now you can see our wire is all protected and everything. And now all we got to do is go ahead and put the speaker in. Now, if you want your speaker to last, and I would suggest you do this, get you some plastic or get you a piece of foam, stick in here like this, and keep the back of the speaker dry. So what I'm going to do is cut a small hole in the back of this, fish the wires through here, through this, and hook it up to the speaker. Then we'll go ahead and set this in the door. But very important, this is why your speakers go bad, because they get wet and get moisture. Now they make speaker cones, but I'm not going to spend all day online trying to figure out which works and which doesn't. This will work just as fine, and this was free, and it was laying in my house. Okay, a little update. I'm not going to use the foam that I was telling you I was going to use. I'm going to use this plastic because that foam is way too thick. But this should work out just fine, and I'll go ahead and set this in here, get the wire back in there, and go ahead and bolt it up. And that should work out just great, and I will be protecting the speaker, which is what you really want after going through all this work. So let me go ahead and tighten up these screws in this. Alright, the plastic's just about where I want it, so we'll go ahead and tighten these up now, draw it down. That's on. And our speaker is in. How about that? Now all we got to do is trim this plastic up. Okay, one final update. I actually said forget the plastic. I had to take it back out because I realized that these cones are in the back of these speakers that you're supposed to put. They have enough air behind them to actually make that speaker work, but by putting this plastic around it, the speaker didn't sound right. But my intentions were to keep it dry. But I can still go online, and I found some custom cones I can get for like $5. And I'll get those and put mine in here later. But I gotta tell you, these speakers sound really, really good. I'm really impressed with them. But that is how you install the speaker. And I can't really play any music because I'll be sued by YouTube because of copyright infringements, blah, blah, blah. But trust me, it sounds pretty good. That's all you get. I'll be sued. But I just wanted to show you guys, if you have a neon, that's how you do it. Now, I am going to do the back speakers. They should be here in a few days. And I'll put a link to my video where you can just click on it at the end of my video here. And you can do it. It should take you directly to this back speaker installment when I get it. But now you see it sticks out far enough. And when I put the door panel on, that foam will circle this. And it may actually make it sound pretty good. But these speakers, they don't go in there very far, so I'm not too worried about them getting wet right now. And they look like maybe they're water resistant, but they're made out of some kind of plastic and interesting material. I'll read the box. But anyway, I'll go ahead and hunt up some cones for the door and stick that in later. So all I got to do is go ahead and put the speaker on the other side and put my door panels on and finish up. Okay, well, Mother Nature now says too bad. So it's now raining, and at least I'm just about done here. This one's back in, and I don't have any rattling. So if you get any rattling from the speakers, you might have to go in here and check some of your things because, you know, these cars, they have a lot of metal parts in them, and I like to rattle a little bit when you have your music up and you're thumping. But this one's on. I'll stick the panel on, and we'll call it a night. So let me stick that on, and I'll wrap this video up. Alright folks, it's all back together and I couldn't be happier. I mean, this thing sounds really, really good. So there you go. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. But like I said, you can do that side like that, like I showed you with that ring. Or if you have longer screws, then you might have to drill a couple holes in the back of the panel and all that into the metal of the door. But either way, it should work out pretty good for you. So I'm happy, and it's all done. And like I said, when my other speakers come, we'll replace the back ones, and I'll show you how to do it, or how I'm going to do it. And that way, if you have a neon and you got speakers blowing, at least you'll have some idea how to do it. Because you can't really go out and buy these factory speakers anymore. And the speakers you see online that say they will fit, when you get them, they don't fit because they don't adjust to those adapters that you saw from the factory that are on the door. So there you go. Alright, it's raining. I am done for tonight, and that is it. Until my next project, I will see you then. Until then, later.